Welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market Garden Shorts, where we look at random plants in the test gardens and talk about them. And today's topic is before you. Commonly known as plantain lily, a lot of gardeners, in America at least, call it Hosta. Now, the variety before you is unknown. Hosta sp, short for species. This is your traditional Hosta, green, with those ribbed leaves and then those pretty lilac flowers in the dead of summer. Now, what's interesting is that Hosta is in the asparagus family, Asparagaceae. Okay, which means it is related to asparagus, but not quite the same. It's called plantain lily because the leaves roughly resemble the leaves on plantain bananas. The Musa family has a lot of leaves that look like this, but also the longweed known as a plantain, the buckhorn plantain and the traditional plantain, Plantago major, both also have this, so you notice humans have a habit of naming things that look alike even if they're not the same thing. It's just what we do, folks. It's how we jam. Well, anyway, plantain lily is not a true lily. The true lily family is Lilium, and they're totally different in most conceivable ways, not to be confused with Americalis, which is daylily, which is actually not a true lily. I know, the naming conventions get weird. But anyway, hostas are from Northeast Asia, specifically China, Japan, Korea, and the Russian Far East. They prefer the USDA zones 3 through 9, but there is some literature suggesting up to zone 10. I cannot find confirmed reports of this, but I do know that hostas are incredibly versatile and flexible. Even there are some breeds that can take full sun. Now, the soil pH they prefer is 6.5 to 7.5, which is in the alkaline/neutral range. Dull surprise. And that, in the background, you hear that peeping. That's a cardinal somewhere, having a good day. Anyway, their exposure is effectively part shade, and they're more sun tolerant in zone 6 and higher. And that's only because there are cooler summers, possibly a bit less humidity, and the soil profile changes more into clay and silt soils, which actually hostas tend to prefer heavier soils, preferably with more organic matter. In the sandhills, we have sand, and there's a nutrient leaching issue and a loss of organic matter. In fact, I'm going to turn the camera. See how gray that is? That's basically dirty sand, so that supports the fact there. Now anyway, in terms of height, there are actually 5 standards for hostas, and you have to look at this when you're ordering or buying them. Mini hostas are up to 8 inches, small hostas are 9 to 14, medium hostas are 15 to 22 inches, large hostas are 23 to 29 inches, and giant hostas are 30 plus inches. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, what kind of plant is a giant hosta? Well, if you look in the catalogs, you'll see something called a bike stand hosta that's so big that you could rest your bike against it. It takes a couple years to get it that big, but that is actually the full-size hosta, the giant hosta. What you see before you is a large hosta because this foliage is easily 2 feet tall, but it's also spoiled with a T on the end. I do fuss over my hosta pot a lot. It's in a pot because I can control the soil composition. This is actually several plants in one pot. They were rescued from a landscaping customer years ago who said, I don't like hostas. Get rid of all of them. Throw them in the garbage. And I didn't. I nicked every single one of them. I drove home with a truck full of hostas. If you can imagine a Chevy S10 with a bed full of hostas, just flapping in the wind. And these are some of the survivors. These and one out in the woods that I'll have to show you. I'm going to move the camera for that. But anyway, crazy things we do for horticulture, I swear. They have some alternate names like Funkia, Giboshi, which is the Japanese name for them, and it's spelled G-I-B, and O with a flat line above it, and S-H-I. And now, for those of you who know Japanese out there, if I mispronounce that, let me know. I didn't find a pronunciation key for it, so I have no idea if I destroyed that or not. But they're also known as August lily, for when they bloom, which usually is somewhere around late July, if not August. And boy, do they smell good. Those lilac flowers on this specimen are amazing. And if you look carefully, I'm going to move the camera up just a little bit. You can see the dead flower stalks from last year. That is the only hard woody thing in the entire plant, which is why when I get to can you eat it, I'll explain why you can't eat those. Anyway, hostas were named in honor of Austrian botanist Nicholas Thomas Host in 1812. In 1817, however, the genus was also named Funkia by German botanist Kurt Sprengel in honor of Heinrich Funk, a collector of ferns and alpine plants, which is where Funkia, the nickname, comes from. Now, I'm sure we don't call them Funkia here in the States, but probably in Europe they do. It's weird how that works out. We name it Hosta because it's easy, or plantain lily because it's easy, even though it's not actually a lily. Anyway, hostas are herbaceous perennials that form dense colonies via rhizomes or stolons, and yes, you can see that's the case. This is several plants that have clumped together. This is how they would naturally clump if I had them in the ground, although I'm not sure they'd have so much roid rage growth because I do fertilize them more than I probably should. That's partially because these hostas are actually a refuge. Frogs and toads tend to hide in the foliage, and so these hostas are actually a habitat, and so they serve a double purpose. The flowers are beautiful, some of the foliage is edible, and it's a pretty plant that fills a space and softens the edge of the rain barrel there. So it serves a purpose. More than one purpose, which is my ideal definition of a garden plant. More than one purpose. The edible parts of the plant, which is this is the part y'all were probably all waiting for, are actually the new shoots, the flowers, and young newly opened leaves. The leaves in the new shoots and the newly opened leaves kind of taste like a mixture of lettuce and asparagus, and I don't mean like iceberg. I mean like bib lettuce maybe, or really colorful romaine. There's a flavor there. It's not intense, but you know it's there. Now, why can't you eat the flower stalks? Well, firstly, they're pretty rigid. They're pretty rigid. If you get them at the wrong time, they're bitter. Old leaves, like the ones you see here that have already opened and matured, are very bitter and do have some fiber to them that's unpleasant. You can't eat the root, so some people claim you can eat all of hosta. No, no, you can't, unless you want to suffer severe gastrointestinal difficulties. And if you eat the flower stalks at the wrong time, you may end up with shards in your intestines. So I don't recommend that. The flowers themselves don't taste like much of anything, but they are edible, so prettiness on your salad, I guess? I mean, can't hurt. Well, anyway, unfortunately, hostas, all parts, are toxic to dogs and cats. Now, I've heard that you can spray the foliage with like a lemon juice or cayenne pepper juice stuff to get them to leave them alone. I haven't tested that. There are no pets at the botanical test gardens because, I like to have nice stuff. But that is an option. Now, I wouldn't recommend spraying lemon juice on the leaves because that's an acid and could possibly strip the waxy cuticle from the leaves, causing them to dehydrate. This could also cause damage to the plant and possibly burning and scorching. That's just how it is. Now, also, as a last thought, hostas symbolize friendship and devotion. Every flower has a symbolism, and that's them. And that's the plant in general, not just the flowers. And you know what? I could agree with that because, it's the ultimate state of give and take. Hostas don't require much, and you don't have to do much maintenance. So you meet an equilibrium real fast. These plants will take care of themselves for the most part as long as they're sited well, which is great. You have to trim off the dead stalks. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to mention. Totally forgot. Slipped my mind. In the northern climates, in fall, because of the cold weather, these hostas will often turn a yellow color before they drop their leaves, giving them a fall show. Like a final send-off at the end of the year as a thanks for all what effort you've put in. So, that's definitely some devotion right there. Now, we're going to take a brief walk. I'm going to take a walk. Don't mind me, I'm just going to carry this camera. And we're here. Oh my. Oh my. No, that's not what we're here to look at. We're not looking at that. Nah. we are coming over here, and there it is. That's the other one. Other two. It's split. Yeah, they spread by rhizomes and stoloniferous growth, so there it is. Well, anyway, that's the one that's a funny color, and it's sort of a lime color, and I'm thinking I want to dig it up and put it in some better potting and, help it out like I've helped the other one. But there may be others in the wilderness back there. There was a dry woodlands garden back there, and as you can see, it's become overgrown, and I got to do some work. But anyway, that's all I have for Hostas today, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked it, hit the like and subscribe. If you have any questions, or you want to tell me how to pronounce that Japanese word, hopefully I didn't piss off all of Japan or something, just, send me a message. And as always, folks, keep them growing. Thanks for watching.